Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another night of NGS action. My name is Isaacs, and tonight we have an epic matchup between two undefeated teams. They're the last undefeated teams standing in Division B West. We've got Resurgence of the Storm going up against Cat Daddies. This is going to be a pretty epic showdown. I have been waiting for this pretty much all week when I saw it come up. I didn't have a chance to grab it until I believe late last night. It was still available, and I was like, you know what? Nobody else is gonna take it up, so I was lucky enough to snag it available and ready to rock and roll. These two teams are just super efficient. They're already done with their map pick and ban phase, so I'm gonna get you guys over to that real quick so you can see what's been going on in the map pick and ban phase. So coin toss was done, and Resurgence of the Storm ended up, or sorry, Cat Daddies ended up winning that. They wanted first pick. So Resurgence of the Storm started our bans off, and they banned Cursed Hollow and Garden of Terror. Cat Daddies responded by banning out Dragonshire and Volskaya Foundry, and so first map choice went over to Resurgence of the Storm, and they are sending us to Braxis Holdout, one of the fun, small two-lane maps where there is the battle over the infamous objective beacon where you try and channel up and spawn as many Zerg as you can. But there's also the potential to have a lot of people roam on this map due to it being so small, and high mobility champions can get from one lane to the other through that mid boss area. So when I think of Braxis Holdout, or when you think of Braxis Holdout, you should be thinking more along the lines of, hey, we need champions that are available to do a lot of the brawling over the objective, can hold an objective point really, really well. Thinking of like the Garrosh, thinking of the Varian, thinking of the May, those kind of champions. And then in the solo laners, you're thinking of those very, very heavy bruiser can kind of bully out in the early game. Bullying out in the early game is one of the most important things that you can do in this game. So champions like Rexar are very high priority on a map like this. Champions like Sonya are very high priority on maps like this because they can clear out minion waves and maintain control over the beacon, and also can brawl very well. Other champions who kind of shine in one of those kind of categories but not the other, like Azul, not so heavily popular on a map like Braxis Holdout. Meanwhile, in the 4-man, you usually typically want to see a very strong mage character surrounded by a very heavy bruiser. Tank. So you're looking, like I said, at the potential of having like a Garrosh, looking at the potential for a Varian, looking at the potential for a May in the bot lane. But reason you want a mage in that bot lane and rely heavily on the mage is because of the inevitability of the Zerg wave pushing against you. You want to have that wave clear potential. You want to push out a lane, get onto the beacon. You also want to have the ability to clear out a Zerg wave if the first objective doesn't work well for you. So champions like Kael'thas, champions like Jaina are much higher priority on a map like Braxis Holdout as they would be on another map. Going into the ban phase, we see Cassia and May getting banned off right away. Cassia is in a very good spot as one of those burst assassin type champions, melee assassins, has to jump herself in to do a lot of damage. And May is, we already talked about May being one of those very good hold the point kind of tanks, getting deleted off the map here in the pick and ban phase by the side of Resurgence of the Storm. Anduin going to get the second ban out of the side of Cat Daddies, has the ability to heal up your champions very well, and also has a lot of playmaking potential with that light bomb later in the game when the 10s become a factor. And it can also keep people alive from potential picks. So the fact that, we're fighting over a beacon, somebody might get into a bad rotation, Anduin is able to pull them to safety, will not be able to do so now. And the last ban coming out of the side of Resurgence of the Storm, going to be that Chromie, which is one of those just S-tier mages coming out right now. Very, very strong with her Sands of Time. Can put it down on the beacon, or if your team already controls the beacon, basically zone off one entire side of an entry point for the opposing team to come at you through that beacon. So Chromie not going to be able to see the map here, but Johanna being picked up by the side of Cat Daddies. Johanna has excellent wave clear with the minion wave, has great ability to stand on the point with the Iron Skin and tank it up. And we've got Uther being picked up by Resurgence of the Storm, with a Zul'jin being paired with it. Zul'jin, one of those high steroid champions, going to be able to put a lot of damage down on single target. Johanna should be able to keep him down a little bit with her blinding shield, so picking a Zul'jin into a Johanna, kind of interesting strategy going on there. Perseus must feel very confident in his Zul'jin play, not too terribly worried about the Johanna blinding light getting his stacks up. But we see a Tassadar and Deckard being picked up by the side of Cat Daddies. Tassadar going to be able to wall off champions very well in a map like Brax's Holdout, where there's not a lot of area for mobility. It's kind of small choke points around that objective, so Tassadar will be able to kind of keep people from coming in a direction that he wants to make sure it's like basically you shall not pass. And Deckard, one of those high crowd control champions that can put down a lot of CC over a specific area, in this case the beacon. So Deckard, smart pickup here coming out of the side of Cat Daddies, will pair very well with the Tassadar, who seems to poke from safety for the most part. And we see Tychus and Garrosh being banned out by either team. Tychus, kind of interesting that was banned out by the side of Resurgence of the Storm. They already had the Zul'jin, and they wouldn't have the best wave clear if they picked out the Tychus, so maybe they're planning on getting another tank here and just didn't want the Tychus answer coming out of the side of Cat Daddies. Garrosh getting banned out again, another one of those strong tank champions that we mentioned earlier over an objective. Does provide a lot of pick potential with the Uther, and they pair a Lieutenant Morales and an Asmodan with the composition coming out. This is a very, very interesting composition coming out of Resurgence of the Storm so far. Picking up the Asmodan, I wonder if they're going to finish this off with the Deathwing. It looks like that could be the potential, putting Asmodan up in that top lane or putting Uther up in the top lane. It could be either one, depending on how they want that Asmodan to build out. Uther can sustain fairly well in the top lane. Going to go up against potentially Sonya, and Raynor being that final pickup. So we're not seeing heavy mage come out of the side of Cat Daddies here, but the Raynor will be able to put down significant damage taking the Exterminator, and Sonya will be able to wave clear out pretty easily. Final pick coming out of the side of Resurgence of the Storm. And it's going to be the Malthael. Okay, so it's going to be Malthael up in the top lane then. So it's going to be Asmodan, Zul'jin, Uther, and Lieutenant Morales in the bot lane. Tell you one thing, they're going to have a hard time killing that Zul'jin and Asmodan. Zul'jin is going to be that hyper carry potential. Asmodan is going to add that late game siege potential once they get to level 10. They're just going for an all-out siege comp here, with Zul'jin being the hyper carry. Meanwhile, Cat Daddies, they have the safer earlier game. They definitely have advantage in the bot lane with the early game. As long as Raynor can continue to put out a significant amount of damage, Tassadar going to be able to get stacks up with his auto attack build. Not probably going to have to build too heavily into the mage department, just because of the fact that they got a lot of squishies sitting there in the bot lane. He's already got a lot of bursts that will be able to come out from his just standard Q. So looking at this, the early game, I'm definitely giving a nod over to Cat Daddy. Zul'jin's not going to be stacked up yet, so they're not going to have as much damage in the bot lane. But eventually, Cat Daddies will scale. If they can make this game into the late game, I believe they'll have a chance to at least come back. But in the early game, I'm definitely giving a nod over to Cat Daddies. But let's get these teams introduced. On the left side, in the blue trunks, we got Resurgence of the Storm. We got Sovereign sitting on the Uther, Wingman on the Asmodan. We got Suze sitting on the Lieutenant Morales, Perseus sitting on the Zul'jin, and we've got C2D2 on the Malthael. On the right side, we've got Cat Daddies. In the top lane, we got Taz sitting on that Sonya. We got Fence sitting on the Deckard Cain. Yuji sitting on the Raynor. Shoepuff on the Tassadar. We got Magnetic sitting on that Johanna. Here we go, coming into the bot lane. We got Greed being picked up by Asmodan. Gonna try and get as many stacks as he possibly can. Gonna try and pick up as many stacks being in this 4-man. Meanwhile, Brawl already starting to favor the side of Resurgence of the Storms just a little bit. And the longer they brawl, the better it's going to be for Zul'jin. He will get blinded out here, but if they keep on brawling, that blind will eventually wear off, and Zul'jin will continue to develop those stacks that he wants to get into the late game. Nice route coming out by the Deckard Cain. Wall from the Tassadar going to be able to cut everybody off from any potential retreat, but the healing potential that is going to come out of the side of Resurgence to the Storm is going to be a really, really tough thing to deal with here in the early game. They will eventually start to build it out. Raynor actually sacrificing the Exterminator, not even going to go for it, going to go straight for the ace in the hole and just want to do a lot of damage, knowing that this composition that came out of the Resurgence of the Storm is going to be very squishy, just going to go for that extra damage when he can put it down. But look at the healing. I mean, everybody got down to about half health on the side of Resurgence of the Storm, and then they're all fully health again. Uther taking a little bit of damage, sitting fairly low on the mana pool, but he will be able to heal himself up. The one thing I don't believe they're going to be able to do is bully them off in these long sustained fights. The long sustained fights, as long as Decker can set up his potions well, should start to favor the sides of Cat Daddies the longer these fights go. Percy's getting zoned out here. He should not get burned through having the Morales heal on him, but Malthael was able to pick up the solo kill in the top lane and staying fairly healthy in that top lane too. Being an absolute bully onto the Sonya. Sonya electing to go with that seismic blow build, but not able to beat a Malthael who's just that anti-bruiser kind of champion there. But the bot lane is still actually favoring Resurgence of the Storm a bit here. Magnetic sitting about half health right now, picked up the potion from the Deckard, and now everybody on Resurgence has to run. This means the beacon is going to be picked up by the side. Oh, nope, sorry. Sonya's still got to go pick up the other one there in the top lane. So that's about evening out, canceling it out at about 48%, but a nice start of the channeling process coming out of the side of Resurgence of the Storm there. Raynor getting stunned out by the Uther, and Uther going to continue to put as much pressure he can onto this Tassadar. Tassadar getting fairly low. Uther just got two more hits, and that is a double kill. One going over to Resurgence of the Storm and one going over to Cat Daddies. The fight is not over. We've got a very, very low health Deckard and low mana Deckard. Asmodee kind of bullying him off. Doesn't quite finish the kill, but continues to get himself stacked up here. The beacon is being again picked up by the side of Resurgence of the Storm. And look at Malthael sitting fairly high in the mana pool and the health pool. Sonya getting bullied in this top lane, and so Malthael is going to establish control. They're going to have to send some help into the top lane if they're not able to get some control over this bot lane, which right now Resurgence of the Storm is having a field day in the bot lane. I didn't expect the Zul'jin to be able to put out that much damage in the early game, but look at him. He's already sitting at 12 stacks. These fights are going long enough that the blinding flare coming out of the Johanna is not long enough, and the Zul'jin is able to get a lot of these auto attacks off. And now Malthael is rotating down to lend some aid. Lieutenant Morales was sitting fairly low, does go down to the Raynor, but Raynor had to get very aggressive positioning in order to get that, and Tassadar will get traded out here. Zul'jin goes down, so that is the main damage source. As long as they can find the Malthael, they cannot. Sonya is here, but she's a little late. Raynor trying to run away from the Asmodee, did not take a tower shot. Looked like he got aggro, but didn't take it. Sonya, C2D2 doing an excellent job just zoning it off. Meanwhile, Raynor getting so low, 21 health, but Asmodee can't quite finish him off. Will he get the shot from distance? Sonya able to find that kill onto the Uther, but Malthael was able to escape, and he's going to go up and channel his top lane. Meanwhile, Raynor's backing in a really weird position, trying to be make sure that Asmodee can't predict where he was and get that random Q to finish Raynor off there. So backing in, it was a weird position, but it was a smart position kind of deal. But we do see the beacons starting to turn over. Sonya able to get the top one, and we got Johanna in the bottom. It's at 98%, but we do start seeing some channeling coming over from the side of Cat Daddies. Sonya not going to be able to hold this for long. Malthael is going to come back and take it over. So the bot lane is where we're going to have to see the hold for the time being. Sonya did get on the point and is delaying this. Lieutenant Morales getting fairly low, popping the self-heal, gonna get herself up. Asmodee sitting fairly low, doesn't have the beacon on him, now has the healing beacon on him, but the burst coming out of the Tassadar, and Raynor able to get 2 kills there, 2 pickups by the side of Cat Daddies here in the bot lane. The damage is coming on. Sonya was able to actually bully Malthael off, and that is a 100% pickup for the side of Cat Daddies. So it went from 98 to 0 to 98 to 100. So we've got very big Zerg waves coming in both lanes here. Wave clear definitely is going to be a little bit of a problem coming out of the side of Cat Daddies. The Johanna and Tassadar should do fairly well. Raynor does not have the extra damage going onto these Ultras, so these Ultras are going to be a little bit harder to burn down, but Johanna will be able to get back there and do everything. Meanwhile, Malthael is alone in the top lane, so this top lane is getting pushed in significantly by the side of Cat Daddies. The Johanna able to clear out a lot of these Guardians in the back, now looking to be aggressive onto the Zul'jin here. Zul'jin trying to get himself away, the blind being thrown out. Zul'jin is able to get himself back to safety and start getting getting these stacks going. He's sitting at 23 stacks already. That's pretty impressive considering he's going against a Johanna here. Decker does land the root onto the Uther with the wall being there, but unfortunately the wall did expire. Oh, nice pickup. Good burst by the Tassadar, and that is one dead troll sitting over there, and we have another kill going in favor of the side of Cat Daddies. Meanwhile, Sonya in the top lane has to be very careful. She's got two here. Asmodee coming in. She's got the bleeds, and Malthael able to finish that off in the top lane, but that wasn't all. So Lieutenant Morales did get hit by that condemn by the Johanna, and she does get picked up. Uther gonna get hit by second condemn, and that is a second kill going over in favor of Cat Daddies. We do see the Malthael and Asmodee rotating down, but they are trying to siege up this bottom fort. Cat Daddy's trying to get as much damage onto the fort as they possibly can. Get about 2/3 of the way down and then have to back themselves up. Tassadar sitting nicely at 160 stacks on that level 1 quest that we were expecting he was going to go. Meanwhile, Malthael going to start the camp process off. The rest of Cat Daddies should get over there and do it, but 10's now online for Cat Daddies. They're going to siege while they have the 10 advantage. Johanna going in. She does have the Blessed Shield available. She gets everybody with the condemn, follows up with the Blessed Shield. It's a 3-man stun. Tassadar is here. Can he get the burst onto the Asmodee? As Black Hole going down. Decker land 3-man sleep. Lieutenant Morales gets picked up as well as the Asmodee and Rainer shooting over the wall, picks up the Zul'jin. What a play coming out of that Deckard and Tassadar. Tassadar I keep wanting to say submitting, confirming that 4th kill, making sure that Uther does go down and is trading his life in tow. So that will be a 4-for-1 pickup in favor of Cat Daddies. Nice play around the level 10s there coming out of the side of Cat Daddies instead of going to get the camps. And Sonya was actually able to go up and steal this camp. While all that excitement was going on, I wasn't able to pick up the Sonya rotating in aggressively. She did get in and pick up the camp over the Malthael, and now is going ahead and picking up some of these camps. So the bullied Sonya in the early game is now starting to apply some pressure of her own. Meanwhile, this whole map is starting to get painted red here. 10s did come online for the side of Resurgence of the Storm. Malthael went for those last rights. Asmodee gotta go for the Titus in, get some extra damage for some of these team fights. Uther going with the Divine Shield. We've got Tazdingo coming out of the Zul'jin, and we've got the Stim Drone coming out of the Morales. But this boss is being snuck by the side of Cat Daddies. Malthael is here, elects not to go in, didn't have the rest of his team there to support him, so that is a good boss pickup coming out of the side of Cat Daddies. Starting to run away with the macro pressure here, has both forts in their favor. Decker trying to get this cheeky root onto the Uther, unable to land it, gonna go back over and start the channel process, but look at this, we got Firebats and the boss in the top lane. Meanwhile, we see the side of Resurgence of the Storm trying to force a fight before the 13s come online. Rainer using the Hyperion to zone everybody out. Malthael puts down the last rights. Rainer is gone. That is a stack for Malthael. Zul'jin is stim droned up, gonna be in that hyper carry mode, putting the damage down onto the Tassadar. A nice root coming out of the Deckard to make sure that the follow-up wasn't there onto the Tassadar. It's just a 1-for-0 pickup there. Almost all ultimates were burned outside of the Tazdingo and the Tide for Sin, but that was a fantastic force coming out of the side of the Resurgence of the Storm. They lost some pressure in the top lane, losing the fort, and now the counter engage is on. The wall goes down. Sonya lands the Q, and Uther is going to die to this burst damage coming out of the Sonya and Tassadar here. Good pickup, nice response from Cat Daddy. He's going to finish off this channel if they can. Malthael is going to go up to the top lane, see if he can get any sort of interrupt onto this beacon. Rainer is running up that direction, but unfortunately went the long way, so he won't get there in time. Malthael is going to shut down this beacon for the time being. Now he has to run. He got into a really rough spot. Sonya is here. He dodges the Q, but Malthael, oh, he gets stunned by the leap from the Sonya, and that is a solo kill onto the Malthael. Got himself a little caught out of position there, and the rest of the team kind of goes over, just delaying at this point, but they don't want to keep staggering is the one thing that they do not want to make sure they do. Zul'jin getting stunned out here, hit by the condemn. Lieutenant Morales should have no problem keeping him alive, but the Uther is the one that is in danger, getting down to about half health there. Gonna be able to get himself healed up. The rest of the team gonna go over on the side of Cat Daddies, try to pick up this bottom beacon and get that channel off to 100%. The remaining members of Resurgence of the Storm gonna go and see if they can decap this top lane, give some sort of delay. Nice grenade coming out of the Morales to make sure that not only get the dismount, but to knock the Johanna away. Magnetic sitting down pretty low right now. Good burst coming out of Tassadar. Raynor using the Hyperion to zone everybody off, but he can't stay on that point since he has no support from the rest of the team. And so Resurgence of the Storm doing a nice job delaying, making sure they can control 1 point while they're trying to get on that 13 talent tier, get themselves back up onto an even talent tier. Can't picked up in the bot lane by the Sonya in the Tassadar. Resurgence of the Storm committing to this defense as the 5-man, trying to find that last little bit of experience here to get that nudge over into the 13. We have a little bit of a split coming out of the side of Cat Daddies. If Resurgence just peels backwards, they've got the Deckard isolated out. D-Shield goes down onto the Zul'jin. The Deckard King comes with the stay a while, huge stay a while. Last rites does pop onto the Sonya side as a pickup for the side of Resurgence of the Storm. Uther somehow staying alive through all of this, now turning it around and going in on the counter kill. Tasdingo popped. He picks up a kill onto the Raynor. The channeling was completed, but Tassadar gets picked up as well. Will Johanna fall? Uther landing the stun, and that is a 4-for-0 pickup coming out of the side of Resurgence of the Storm, finding that little bit of burst of energy, but they got to get down here and deal with this massive Zerg wave in the bot lane. Channels are starting to go off. The Firebats are here, or sorry, they're the Hellbats. Firebats are the actual big guys like Blaze. These are Hellbats in the bot lane, and they're starting the siege process up, lowering, doing that little bit of an armor shred, and the Ultralisks have arrived, gonna siege up in the bot lane. Banelings just blowing everything to smithereens, and this will probably be just the entire front wall. The Guardians are gonna get zoned out by the Asmodan, and so the Guardians will go down. A couple pods coming down that from these Guardians, giving a little bit of extra Zerg support, but they get cleared out, no problem. And that was a pretty big fight coming out of Resurgence of the Storm there. Being able to get 4 kills, you know, the side of Cat Daddies were just a little spread out, having 3 members of Deckard, Sonya, and Tassadar on one side, and the Raynor and the Johanna on the other. And Resurgence of the Storm, they just had to peel themselves backwards, find those couple kills in the back line, and then kind of push with that advantage that they created. So good recognition coming out of the side of Resurgence of the Storm to get those kills, and now they've kind of evened out this experience gap. They're still about a level or half a level behind. This boss is definitely a play that could happen once those 16s come online. For the side of Cat Daddies, they could make a play for the boss, but Resurgence of the Storm, they've evened out this pressure in the top lane with this passive minions. They just got to find a way to do that in the bottom lane and make sure that they get their 16s before the next fight breaks out. Malthael in a very aggressive position here, electing to just run away. The pings go out, they saw him, and he's sitting here just trying to get the scouting done for his team to make sure that they have vision on when this boss is eventually started. He had to run away to safety, gonna go up and try to scout it out now. The rest of the team clearing out the minions in the bot lane. This boss is down to about half health. They really don't want to pick this fight unless they can get an isolated pick. The wall goes down, Hyperion used to zone off. The boss is being channeled, and the boss is picked up. Deckard Root lands onto both the healers, and unfortunately the Kendem does not hit, and so it is just going to be a boss pickup. I say just going to be a boss pickup. It's a boss pickup. But Resurgence of the Storm, since they just weren't quite on their 16s yet, unless they could have found that pick, they really weren't going to go in and try and cause any real major contention. 16s are online now. They will be able to handle this boss. I anticipate with the Raynor, he does not have the Hyperion, but with the ultimates available on the side of Cat Daddies, this keep is going to fall, and Resurgence of the Storm has to be careful. Look at that combo coming out. Johanna Lynn, the Condemned, Blessed Shield. Sonya jumping in with the leap. The Deckard Cam puts down the sleep. The D-Shield does come off. He somehow finds a way when he was at like no health to get the D-Shield off on himself, keeps himself alive. So it was 2 kills. I believe that Malthael, or maybe it was just 1 kill because the D-Shield went off. The Malthael didn't actually fall in that category, but they are now putting the defense on the boss. Last rites going down, does not get the kill. Malthael trying to get himself back to safety. The rest of the team doing what they can to burn down this boss. The core is starting to fall. It's down to about 86. We'll get down to about the 70 range, and that's probably where it'll end. 75. Good solid 3/4 health left on that core. The shield will start charging. The beacons are going to be channeled. Everybody is online. 16s are available for both teams, and this is going to be the next huge fight. Malthael being very aggressive, trying to get this Raynor down. He does not have last rites available. Asmodan in here trying to get the channel on, but Deckard doing an excellent job keeping everybody in tip-top shape. Sonya in position for another potential leap play. All ultimates are pretty much online for the side of Cat Daddies. We still got D-Shield and Blast Rites being on cooldown for the side of Resurgence of the Storm, so there's this small window where Cat Daddies are looking to pick this fight. Johanna going in very aggressive, knows that she has the ultimate advantage, advantage, wants to find the fight, isn't able to get it, pops the Iron Skin. Tassadar putting the damage down onto the Uther. Uther having to run himself away. He's got 6 more seconds. The stun, double stun with the leap, with the black hole, with the slay a while. It does land, and that is 2 kills going in favor of Cat Daddy. Sonya is on the hunt for this Morales. She does pop the self-stim. The beacons are finished, and Greed is now finally stacked for the Asmodan, but unfortunately, he does go down. That is 3 kills picked up by the side of Cat Daddies, and this is a absolute massive Zerg wave in the top lane. If this Zul'jin cannot clear out a lot of these minions, this more than likely will be game number 1 going in favor of Cat Daddies. Morales does not have the stim. Zul'jin does have Tazdingo available at about 46 stacks. So like I said, not able to get himself super stacked against this Johanna. He was doing a pretty good job in the early game. Hasn't had the opportunity here, and this shield is melted. This core is falling, and this will be GG's game number 1 going over to Cat Daddies. That was an absolutely excellent play by the side of Cat Daddies, realizing that they had that small window to pick a fight, found the Uther and Malthael clumped together, were able to just channel their stuns. Johanna landing the Condemn, followed by the Blessed Shield, followed by the Leap, followed by the Black Hole, followed by the Stay a While and Listen. I mean, you could just see it stacking on top of each other. It's not necessarily the most well-known combination, but they still found a way to stack it, and it just caused so much. I mean, Uther and Malthael could not move, and it ended up getting both kills, which was absolutely huge. It was just the Zul'jin and Morales with the Asmodan left alive, and eventually Asmodan did get burst down by that Tassadar, creating a nice push for the side of Cat Daddies. You know, they did have that advantage with the shorter ultimate cooldowns with their ultimate selection. Tassadar electing to go for that Black Hole rather than going for an Archon, potentially trying to pair it off of the Condemned Blessed Shield coming out of the Johanna there. And so, yeah, I mean, solid play coming out of the side of Cat Daddies. I thought they had the better draft and composition coming into the game. Props to Resurgence of the Storm for absolutely making me put my foot in my mouth for at least that entire early game there. You know, they were definitely the ones being the aggressors and kind of dictating that early game. But once the ultimates came online, especially when Cat Daddies found that fight around their level 10s, you know, they got 10s. They knew they had the advantage. So instead of backing off and doing camps, they pushed that bottom keep or fort very hard, used their ultimates, ended up finding 3 kills with that, getting the fort, and then using that advantage to take the opponent's camps rather than go get their own and paint the map red, which gave them that nice experience lead that they kind of had throughout the rest of the game. I still wish I had caught that Sonya's invade on the Malthael. You know, she went and somehow snuck that top camp. Malthael started it. So Sonya went onto the point, somehow bullied Malthael off while that fight was going on in the bot lane over the fort. You know, we were watching that. We didn't get to see how the Sonya bullied off, but Sonya was able to pick up that Mert camp, and that was a lot of pressure put down because they were able to get the boss off of that too, and it was just a ton of pressure from Cat Daddy. So well done. They played that map very, very well. And we see most of the ultimates coming out here. The only thing that you know, didn't feel like it did as much contribute as much was the Asmodan pick, and maybe that will be, you know, if we are able to find a you know, get an interview, go to a potential reverse sweep and talk with the surgeons, we'll see why they elected to go with the Asmodan here in that game, as it just didn't feel like he was contributing as much as he wanted to. You know, he just finished getting his greed stacks, the 200 stack, when the game pretty much ended. So wasn't able, even though he was in the format, so just wasn't able to get as much value as maybe he had hoped. Wasn't able to stack up as well. And the Zul'jin pick into a Johanna, I mean, like I said in the draft, Perseus may just have felt confident in his Zul'jin abilities, but Johanna did an excellent job in the second half of that game, making sure Zul'jin didn't continue to get those stacks off. So let me get you guys back over to the map overview. You can see what's going on. We do have the second lobby already created, so I'm going to jump in there, see who created the map. Everybody's already in here. We are going to go to Tomb of the Spider Queen, and it was picked up by the side of Cat, or it was picked by the side of Cat Daddy. So The side of Resurgence of the Storm electing to go for first pick since they were the ones who lost game 1. They got the choice of map pick or first pick in this game number 2, and they elected to go with first pick here, meaning Cat Daddies are sending us to Tomb of the Spider Queen. So it's another map similar. I call it similar to Braxis Holdout, where it's another small map, a lot of walls, a lot of skirmishing going on. That was a pretty bloody game 1. There's a lot of fighting going on in that game 1. I don't remember exactly the kill count, but it was definitely in like the late 30s, early 40s for the kill count. So you know that it was a heck of a game played by both of these teams, and Tomb of the Spider Queen's only going to make that happen again. Like, we have a couple other champions that may start to shine a little bit on this map. We're actually getting going into this draft right now. Both teams are just itching to get back to fighting. So we'll get this map going. But other champions that may start to make an appearance. I mean, May is still a very viable champion. Diablo now, he wasn't banned in game 1 or picked. This is a much more well-known Diablo map. You know, if we're seeing like the specialist champions coming out of the side of Resurgence, we could see the Asmodan come out again. We could see a Nazebo. Nazebo loves this map due to the fact that he can get himself stacked up fairly quickly and also be a hop, skip, and a jump away from any team fight to help the team out. So this is one of Nazebo's better maps. We could see other champions like Cho'Gall. You know, the fact that everybody's kind of forced to fight with around the Cho'Gall. There's always a Cho'Gall potential on a small map like Tomb of the Spider Queen, where he can rotate and get to these team fights and force people to respond to where he's at on the map. So we'll see what these two teams elect to go with here in this game number 2. Most of the bans coming out so far are very similar. May and Cassia, both first bans for each team. Sonya now getting the nod, wanting to get the side of Cat Daddies off that Sonya. Sonya really does fairly well on this map too. Can double soak between top and mid fairly well and also be a bully in the bot lane, so she can be very versatile on this map depending on what the team wants to use for their strategy, if they want to put the 4-man in the bot lane or not. But almost exactly the same bans coming out here, except the Chromie was not banned by the side Resurgence of the Storm. They were trying to make sure that they could possibly get it, but Chromie being banned out by Cat Daddies, and we see the Johanna being immediately picked up by Resurgence. First pick in game 1, first pick here in game 2. Johanna, one of those excellent frontliners, gonna be able to put her presence on this map again. But this does leave the Anduin available, and Tassadar being picked up as well. So Anduin was that last champion that got banned out, was banned out instead of the Sonya in game 1, left available, and Fence gets the Anduin here in game number 2. Tassadar being picked up again, probably going to go with a very, very similar build as we saw in game 1, since these maps are so similar. If they can find a way to pair it up with the Black Hole, they'll probably just go with the Black Hole again instead of the Archon. But Brightwing being picked up, and Kael'thas going with that heavier mage here in game number 2. Gonna be able to put down a lot of damage in some of these tight knit corridors where there's gonna be a lot of fighting. Gonna be able to either Pyroblast or Phoenix. Usually we see most teams go with the Phoenix on Tomb of the Spider Queen due to the siege potential with the Web Weavers. We will see how that goes. But Brightwing being a very good answer to any heavy engaged tanks that may come out from the side of Cat Daddies, like the Diablo. Tychus has not been banned nor picked up here, and both teams can potentially pick it up and slide it into their composition. So we'll see if he gets banned out here in game number 2. Man, chat is super quiet tonight. Everybody's just so focused on the game. Normally chat's just pop in place, but tonight it's crickets going on. We'll see what the side of Resurgence of the Storm decides to ban, and it is the Diablo. So, you know, this map being one of the Diablo's better maps can be quite terrifying to deal with, especially now with the Kael'thas and the Brightwing, two very, very squishy targets for Diablo to single out. So solid ban coming out from Resurgence of the Storm. You know, Brightwing is there as a potential answer to the Diablo, unless she's the one that's comboed. So we'll see what the side of Cat Daddies elect to pick up. and it is the Garrosh. So Garrosh did get banned out instead of Diablo in the second rotation. Not going to get banned out here. Brightwing will do a pretty good job against the Garrosh. But here we go again. A Zul'jin picked into a Johanna. Other people must be seeing something about Zul'jin into Johanna that I'm just not seeing. Because to me, I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, Zul'jin is a very strong champion, and yes, there are a lot of, you can't go double mage. You got to pick some sort of auto attacker, but somebody with more consistent damage that doesn't need the ability to scale up. Anyway, so we'll see how the Zul'jin does against the Johanna. Maybe in game number 2, maybe Yuji's like, no, I'll show you how to play a Zul'jin into a Johanna. Meanwhile, Thrall picked up by C2D2 and Kira picked up by Sovereign. I don't know. Sovereign is what I'm going to say. But Blaze, that last pick coming in from the side of Cat Daddies. Yes, I get to cast a Blaze game. I absolutely love Blaze ever since he was introduced. Blaze and Phoenix. I mean, that was my favorite period of HOTS ever when they like released Blaze and Phoenix like back to back. I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy right now. And Blaze just does wonderful things. I really like his engage potential and the potential to save the entire team with a well-placed bunker. And then Phoenix, one day I'll get to cast a Phoenix. He's not heavily picked in this meta right now, but one day I'll get to cast a Phoenix, and then I will just oogle like a little, kid in a candy shop over Phoenix when I finally get to cast a Phoenix game. But I like the team comp coming out of Resurgence of the Storm a lot better here in this game number 2. I like the team comp. I like the fighting that they have, the Thrall pick, the playmaking around the Thrall, which it looks like C2D2 likes to be that playmaker coming out of Resurgence of the Storm. So we'll see if this composition is enough to get them that win here in game number 2. Let's get these teams introduced on the blue side. We got C2D2 on the Thrall, Perseus sitting on that Johanna, Sovereign sitting on the Kira. We got Wingman on the Kael'thas, and Suze on the Brightwing. Meanwhile, on the red side, we've got Cat Daddies. We got Fence on the Anduin, Yuji on that Zul'jin, Tay on the Blaze. We got Magnetic sitting on that Garrosh, and we got Shoe Puff sitting there on the Tassadar. Tassadar likes to go with that same level 1 talent, same build as expected here in game number 2. Kael'thas going to get those globes, try to get himself pretty healthy in case of any shenanigans coming out of the Garrosh or Blaze. Johanna going with the block, making sure that she is able to deny that Zul'jin even more stacks in addition to the Blinding Light, instead of going for the reduced cooldown and greater potential for, greater shield on the Iron Skin. But we're seeing both of the 4-mans rotating between this mid and top lane. Thrall going to be in the 4-man. Kira going to go down into that bot lane. A nice route coming out of Thrall. Garrosh getting punched around. Anduin having to use the pull to keep Garrosh alive, and Magnetic sitting fairly low, but that's kind of where Garrosh likes to be, in that half health range, because he's able to keep himself in that higher armor stack. And we do see that Johanna getting thrown in, able to get herself away, no problem at all. But I do like the Thrall being in the 4-man, just because, like I said, C2D2 seems to be the playmaker, and Thrall is a great playmaker champion. So having that Thrall in that, Kira, did she end up finishing it off? She did. Kira gets the first blood here in the bottom lane. Well played. I saw her spinning around on the mini map, so I was like, maybe she's going to try and pick up a kill here, and she does get that kill onto Blaze. So good first blood going over to the side of Resurgence of the Storm. Thrall going to go ahead and get started picking up this Bruiser camp for his own team. The side of Cat Daddies still keeping theirs on the DL for now. Looking like they're potentially setting up a pick on this Kira. Kira having to be very careful. Gets herself to the wall. Garrosh throwing her all the way into the team. Starts to slide around. Brightwing is teleporting herself in. And that is a nice play coming out of the Kira to make sure she can get herself to safety and away from any potential engage. But Thrall, very, very low health, trying to finish off this Bruiser camp. Brightwing is here. Will be able to give that last little bit of assistance on the Bruiser camp. And we are seeing both teams electing to start getting some early turn-ins. You know, the downside to being a tank on a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen is you're so far in the front line that you're usually the one picking up all the gems, and then you got to start playing a little carefully. So, you know, the tank usually wanting to offload a lot of their gems here in the early game just to make sure they're not that super juicy target and they're getting the value out of their gems. But this bruiser camp already being sent down the mid lane. The rest of the team looking to set up a siege with this bruiser camp. Potentially get at least the wall, if not one or two of these turrets down. Kael'thas going to be able to clear out any minions. Blaze having to rotate up to help with the clear here. And Garrosh trying to push past the minions in very deep. None of the team has followed him yet. Thrall able to get the stun, but Thrall gets himself thrown over. Kier is now here for the extra assistance, but the minions have been cleared out, and now everybody going to go back to their respective lanes, able to pick up half the wall, sorry, not the fort wall. And that's about all she wrote there. But Kael'thas already sitting on, you know, this is what Kael'thas likes this map due to the fact that he can get so many globes being in the format. Already halfway done with that quest, getting his mana pool even higher and going to be able to get himself a nice big shield here and another 10 globes. Meanwhile, Tassadar not having the best time stacking up yet, will be able to do that, you know, once these team fights really start breaking out, the only kill being in that bottom lane so far. Garrosh throwing the Kael'thas away rather than to the team, getting a bunch of damage, pops the Indomitable, and gets himself out to safety there. So a little bit of scrapping going on in the mid lane, but no team really committing to a massive fight. We don't see any real heavy all-in engages coming out of either team yet. They're looking for that fight. Thrall, again, Garrosh throwing the Thrall away rather than trying to get a pick with the rest of the team. And it looks like this Garrosh isn't ready to commit to any heavy team fights yet until their team can get on that even talent tier and are confident in the burst damage coming out of the Tassadar paired with the Zul'jin's damage, which Zul'jin, again, only at 8 stacks right now, having a little bit of a tough time stacking up against a Johanna. It's going to take him a little bit longer to get these stacks, trying to find fights away from this Johanna. But again, major props to Johanna player for making sure that she's putting that blinding light on the Zul'jin every time she can and not allowing him to get himself stacked up here. And first Web Weaver phase picked up by the side of Resurgence of the Storm. Gonna go ahead and get these Web Weavers, and we'll see if they elect to push this top lane or if they're just clearing out the minions and gonna go mid since they have some of that fort already damaged. So they are pushing out the top lane, rotating down. Are they gonna go? They're gonna push out this mid lane. Since they already had a good siege in the mid lane already, getting themselves a little bit more pressure and also giving themselves, if they can get this fort picked up, they will give themselves the extra vision to deny any potential turn-in coming out of the side of Cat Daddies. The entire front wall and health pool. That was a weird throw. I guess she tried to hit the wall, and since she didn't pick up the wall, but the health fountain was already dead, so I was like, what? I'm guessing she tried to hit the wall there, but that is the fort in the mid lane being picked up by the side of Resurgence of the Storm. That's going to give them much greater power for rotations. You know, enemy team's gonna have to show which side they're rotating on the map to, as long as these minions can be pushed out in the mid lane. So Resurgence Storm gonna get some extra vision, which is gonna definitely help them in this mid game. Meanwhile, the bot lane seems to have evened out quite a bit. You know, Kira seemed to have some sort of a massive advantage in those first 4 levels. Blaze now able to sustain himself up and make sure that he doesn't die here in the bot lane. Kind of just playing really safe, but rest of Cat Daddies getting the turn in here in the top lane. Zul'jin will finish that off, and we will have a return. Sorry about that. I got a hiccup like right between that. We will see a return Web Weaver phase coming out of the side of Cat Daddies. Will they elect to go to the top lane and get some map pressure of their own, or try and even up the pressure in this mid lane? Just try to keep my eye on the Zul'jin stacks. He's at 8 still, so he's still not able to get himself stacked up nearly as much as he wants to. And this Web Weaver continuing to create a lot of pressure in the mid lane. Zul'jin going to try and draw people up to this top lane. Tassadar is here. Garrosh is here. Brightwing's coming all the way in. The throw onto the Garrosh. The Blessed Shield did go out. The taunt going out onto both the Brightwing and the Johanna. The Thundering Blow coming down from the Thrall was just a little bit late to save the Johanna. Did save the Brightwing, so he got one of the 2 members that he was trying to get saved, but the rest of the team pushing out this top lane. Phoenix goes down to zone everybody off. Terash taking some tower shots there. Gets pulled like 2 inches from the Anduin. Anduin trying to get that de-aggro off the tower, but that counter engage with the Kira rotation up was enough to save this top fort. So nice rotations coming out of the side of Resurgence of the Storm, making sure that they were keeping all of their structures alive, and that's gonna set themselves up for a nice turn in here. Kira looking like she wants to fight. This is a 5v4 potential situation. Nice stun into the wall. Light bomb going down onto the Zul'jin. Blaze is trying to get the combustion to go off in the bot lane, maybe to keep the Zul'jin alive, but Zul'jin pops the Tazdingo, gets a little bit of health. The bouncing Crash Lightning coming out of the Thrall, able to get the kill on, being very patient, just sitting in that bush, waiting for the Tazdingo to end, and then coming out, popping the Chain Lightning, and getting that kill. That was awesome. That was well played by Thrall there, able to secure this next Webweaver phase for the side of Resurgence of the Storm, and C2D2 making some pretty good plays here to keep his team in this. Look at the gems Blaze is sitting on. Holy cow, he's got 32 gems for Resurgence of the Storm. They are coming back with a fury. They want to get this top lane, and C2D2 getting thrown all the way and taking tower shots still. Brightwing teleporting herself in, finally gets the shield to go off, and C2D2 able to get himself healed up on the Thrall, but that top fort is gone. 3 members still in the bot lane for the side of Cat Daddies, so this top siege is going to continue. Everybody getting up here, blinding light going out by the Johanna, not electing to continue to push any further past. They left this bottom wall alive. They still haven't picked up the wall, going for the main wall instead of the bottom wall to let Johanna get into the backside, but the Webweaver continuing to create a lot of pressure. They will pick up this health fountain more than likely, and this Webweaver in the mid lane, she wants to kill the wall, so she's on wall duty. This Webweaver not quite able to get the health fountain there. Kira not able to get the bottom keep, but this Webweaver got some damage onto the keep, got the health fountain in the mid lane. So this is a lot of macro pressure being created by Resurgence of the Storm here, coming back and now gonna siege up the bot lane as a 5-man. Kael'thas and Thrall gonna go and pick up. Nope, they're coming back. They're like, full call. They saw the Garrosh and the Zul'jin in the top lane, and they said, nope, let's just get the fort and then go get the siege minions. They're gonna give us the fort, we're gonna take the fort. That was a nice call by whoever made the call there to go get that fort in the bot lane instead of the siege camp. And now we've got Thrall gonna go pick up the Bruiser camp. Siege camp still being held by both teams. Turn-ins coming in from the side of Cat Daddies. He's trying to get that second turn. Johanna putting out the Blessed Shield and popping the Iron Skin. She's got no more escape buttons. And Johanna actually goes down here. So a nice pickup by the side of Cat Daddies, finding a kill somewhere on the map while the rest of the team was picking up the Merc camp. Johanna may have thought she could got herself away. Didn't factor in the Tassadar wall there. Tassidar's wall basically allowed the team to burn through that Iron Skin and then crowd control her to death. And so solid pickup coming out. And this is going to create some sort of a potential window for a little bit of a playmaking in the mid lane. Zul'jin electing to go again into the top lane, try and siege down. Now he's coming to rotate to the 5-man. Kira going to commit to the bot lane. So we have a 5-man push into the mid lane. Phoenix being popped by the Kael'thas to just zone everybody away and start to get some wave clear here in the mid lane. The rest of the team backing off, going to rotate down, gets the stun onto the Kira. Garrosh has the ability to get the stun. Oh, gets a Brightwing in there too. That's a 2-man taunt. Black Hole goes down. Brightwing is dead. Kira able to get herself healed with the... Oh, I thought she was eventually going to go down, but she got that burst heal, so she was able to keep herself alive, popping the ultimate for some wave clear potential. But man, I thought once the Brightwing got the teleport in that we were going to see a big play coming outside of Cat Daddies. We're still seeing a pretty good play coming out. They got 2 forts for this Webweaver phase. If they could have gotten the Kira in addition to the Brightwing, this could have set up a really good siege opportunity for the side of Cat Daddies. They could have potentially gone and made a play around this boss Not going to be able to now with Brightwing back online. It's a 5v5. They're going to go elect to siege up. Nope, they're not. They're going to go and potentially get another turn-in. They do have the gems for a third turn-in already available. The Garrosh has to be one of the ones to get the turn-in. We have the 5-man. Garrosh is way out in front, getting thrown out and stunned out by the Thrall, and now the hunt is on. Blessed Shield being popped. Tassadar being pulled away, but Kira is right there to make sure that Tassadar has nowhere to go. Kira securing that kill, and that is 2 kills picked up, and the rest of Resurgence of the Storm gonna go and pick up this boss here in the top lane. They don't quite have turn-in potential, but they do have boss play ability, and Garrosh will not be back on the line for another 10 seconds. So this boss is securely going to go over to the side of Resurgence of the Storm. Meanwhile, the side of Cat Daddy is going to go pick up this mercenary camp here in the bot lane, and potentially go get the siege camp as well, trying to find any map pressure that they can while they are down 2 men. But the 4-man sieging with the boss here in the top lane. 5 committed from the side of Cat Daddies to defend this boss. This boss should not be able to pick up this keep with a 5v4 situation. Thrall is rotating up. He's going to be a little bit late. The boss is going to start beating up the Elephant. Kira popping the ultimate as well. Phoenix being thrown out by the Kale Toss. They're trying to siege everybody off this boss, but the boss already down to half health. The Johanna coming in, throwing out the blinding light. Tassadar putting the burst damage down onto the boss. The keep's down to about a quarter health left. The Garrosh did go in very deep with the Blaze. Blaze getting just crowd controlled all over the place and does eventually go down, but nice burst coming out of the Tassadar to make sure that the side of Resurgence Storm cannot continue to press this advantage. The keep did stay alive. They've got a siege going in the main lane, although it's just one little measly minion there. The rest of the team trying to commit to this defense here. And I mean, the stall, it's basically a stall game. Kira popping another ultimate, Tassadar laying another fantastic burst. Black hole being popped, it will not connect. It'll expire before it hits anybody. Garrosh trying to find another pick, but can't. And now the counter engage potential is there for the Kira. She does not pull the trigger yet, waiting for that potential fatal mistake to come outside, and Blaze being online is the retreat call for the side of Resurgence of the Storm. They just have to go back and literally sneeze on this fort and it will fall down. But gem turn-in potential online for Resurgence of the Storm. Due to the Blaze finally dying, he did lose all of those pretty gems. And so Cat Daddies no longer have the turn-in potential. Garrosh being, again, very aggressive, throwing the Johanna. Brightwing teleporting herself in. The wall is down. Brightwing able to blink herself over the wall. Has that sneaky ability to get herself to safety there. And the camp is picked up again by the side of Resurgence of the Storm. The top lane is got a siege minion in favor of Cat Daddies, so they will be able to keep that pressure passively in the top lane. The rest of the team going out to delay in the bot lane. Garrosh all off on his own. Unstoppable popped by the Garrosh with the Indomitable. Kael'thas throwing the gravity lapse out. Does connect with the Blaze, but that's all she wrote. Blaze unfortunately barely missing the jet propulsion. Will the light bomb connect? It doesn't. Neither does the combustion. They're not done. Okay, now they decide to back themselves off. That was a lot of resources spent by the side of Cat Daddies there. So Resurgence of the Storm have this window available to them to get the turn-in. They just need to find their positioning. Garrosh, again, getting caught out. Does not have the Indomitable this time. Had to use it in the last fight, so it's not quite off cooldown yet, and he will go down. That will secure the turn-in for Resurgence of the Storm. Their win condition is available in the top lane if they can go get some pressure going in this top lane. Garrosh will not be alive for another 30 seconds. That's more than enough time, but since this minion wave did not get cleared by the Johanna, they elected to go for the pick onto the Tassadar, and the Blessed Shield does come out. I mean, they've committed to this pick already. They might as well try to finish it. Ando in there for the assistance, and this minion's going to spawn all the way back. So if they were trying to create the top lane being their win condition, this sets up, the side of Cat Daddies to clear out this mid and this bot lane easily due to the fact that this Web Weaver is not here. They won't be able to end it. They'll just get the keep and then go siege out another lane, probably the mid lane, since bot lane is already being addressed by the side of Cat Daddies. So, committing to the Tassadar play. If they'd gotten the Tassadar, they definitely potentially could have ended with another kill in their favor. They do have their 20s online, so they are going to siege up in this mid lane. Kael'thas going for the safety with the Flame Strike, giving himself a little extra range. Teleport coming out of the Thrall. Again, setting up that playmaking potential with the teleport stun. We do see the Indestructible coming out of Johanna. Instead of trying to land that juicy 5-man stunt with the Blessed Shield, we do see the Condemn landing on the Zul'jin and having to pop the pull away. Phoenix being burnt by the Kael'thas there to make sure that they get some more siege pressure on this mid lane, but everybody, Johanna just face tanking this siege camp here, trying to be like, hey, come get us, and the rest of Cat Daddies like, no, we're perfectly fine waiting for our 20s to come online as well. Dax raiding with a group of 22. Thank you so much for the raid. Everybody go over and drop some follows. Give some likes over to Dax channel for sure. Doing a lot of great things. But for those just joining, welcome. Resurgence of the Storm are having a bit of a resurgence here in game number 2. Trying to even this series up at 1 apiece. Cat Daddies had a pretty dominant win on Braxis holdout in game 1. But Resurgence have put some serious pressure on them here in game number 2. Already having the top keep. Trying to finish off this mid keep before 20s are online for the side of Cat Daddies, and they should have no problem doing so. Garrosh throwing the Thrall away and actually landing the knockup as well, and the root and toe from the Anduin there. So that's a pretty good, nice combination for the disengage, but the healing coming out of the Brightwing, able to keep this Thrall alive. Jet Propulsion landed on the Kira. Garrosh does land the taunt, the Johanna, the Thrall, but uses the teleport to get himself to safety. And now everybody on the side of Resurgence backing themselves away. 20s are online now for the side of Cat Daddies. We've got increased duration from the Taz Dingo there. We've got the massive heal coming out, the Desperate Prayer coming out from the Anduin. They're going to keep everybody alive. Combustion picked up by the Blaze. Again, the improvement to the Combustion, so his movement, decreased movement speed is gone, and he's going to be able to slow enemies even more. We've got the shield, Force Barrier coming out of the Tassadar there, and we've got the Titanic Might, so Garrosh gonna try and chuck 2 members now instead of 1. Use both arms to be throwing people around instead of just the 1, and we'll see if that play, that pickup from the Garrosh, he's been trying to set up these plays. It's really only gonna take 1. They've got their Web Weavers coming in. Bot lane is getting sieged out. If they want to create any pressure in the bot lane, since that is one of the lower lanes, they got to go clear this out, electing not to. Gonna try and push it out here in the mid lane to the end. But this game, for how much bloodbath there was in the first game, this game has not been that kind of a game. Only 10 kills combined between the two teams. Meanwhile, the last game I think had like 40 kills between these two teams. Thana coming in saying, I enjoy raiding. I enjoy being raided. It's always fun to have more people join in these games, which are getting very close. The taunt does land onto the Thrall. Blaze in here to provide the backup damage. Thrall does go down, and the rest of the team gonna siege up with those 60 seconds. The wall go down from the Tassadar. Kael'thas gets picked off. The Indomitable does save the Johanna there. Kira trying to create any type of defense he can, but this is a big window coming out from the side of Cat Daddies. Can they get this keep? It's really gonna depend on how fast they can siege this keep down with 5. The rest of the 5 to 3 members alive are gonna go up and clear this top lane out, but this is gonna be a keep pickup. I do not believe it will be a core call here, but this is a massive response coming out of Cat Daddies here. Getting the pick around the Tassadar, it is actually going to be a core call. They are going to try and end this game here. We can see the wall does not land. Johanna going in to land the Condemn. As long as she can keep the Tazding or the Zul'jin blinded, but the light bomb being thrown out lands onto the Kira and the Johanna. Johanna using another Condemn there. Does not have the Indestructible. Now Brightwing could try and get herself in. Unable to do so. The Tazdingo is popped by the Zul'jin, but Thrall and Kael'thas, the stall was long enough. We got both members coming back online. That's all she's going to write for the side of Cat Daddies on this siege, but they were able to even out this mid lane. Going to go up, potentially set up a boss play here in the top lane. Now that Johanna is dead, maybe try and set up the cheeky bush gank. See if they can catch somebody. If they check, if they're able to get a kill here, this is massive. C2D2 Oh, he does land the wall, and the Kira is the focus. The Blaze going in with the combustion onto the Kira. Kira landing onto the Thrall. The Sundering Blow goes down, separates the rest of the team. Garrosh getting fairly low, pops the Indomitable, gets himself to safety. This healing coming out of the Anduin is absolutely insane, keeping Garrosh alive, and Brightwing does fall. Everybody has to get away. Kael'thas trying to get himself, misses the gravity lapse onto the Zul'jin. He does not have Tazdingo available. Kira knows that, trying to get the kill, but look at the healing coming out of the Anduin. Holy moly. Oh, he does get the kill, and now we have the Thrall trying to create a play, unable to do so, and that is 3 kills picked up. Johanna is alive. The living bombs are starting to spread, but that was a absolute critical pickup on to the Zul'jin. I thought Zul'jin was going to get himself to safety there. The Anduin played out of his mind. Getting that level 20 talent and using that Desperate Prayer was absolutely critical to keeping that entire team alive in that team fight. Holy cow, Anduin. That was well done. I thought that I was shocked the Garrosh did not die in that fight. There were like 4 different times the Garrosh was at probably 100, 200 health, and Anduin's healing just came in clutch, kept the Garrosh alive through all of that, and they were able to get those turnaround few kills. This boss is going to come out into the top lane. Unfortunately, everybody's so low on mana that the boss is just going to be some experience, and that is about it. They really can't create much of a push with the boss, but I tell you what, Cat Daddies were getting bullied around a lot in this early and mid game and have found their stride here in this late game. Gonna try and come back and see if they can end this night early rather than send it to a game 3. It is full 5-on-5 strength for both teams. We see the 5-man from Cat Daddies rotating it up. This boss already down to about half health. The rest of the side of Resurgence playing a little bit passively. The Kael'thas popping the Phoenix. They don't want to get picked here, and rightfully so. If they can finish this boss before the keep falls, that will be absolutely critical. They do get it. Okay, so the keep does, again, it needs to be sneezed on, and that is about it. Meanwhile, the siege is going down in the mid lane. Gem priority definitely favoring Cat Daddies. They're actually going to unload all of those gems to make sure that they do not get picked and die with them. But pretty much at this point, the next big team fight is going to be the deciding team fight for this game. Unless it's like a 4-for-4 team fight and there's one apiece left alive, this next team fight is going to be absolutely critical for both of these teams. How about it? A 25-minute, almost, Tomb of the Spider Queen map. That's a fun one, especially with how little deaths have been. I mean, most of the action has been in these last 3 minutes. Outside of those last 3 minutes, it hasn't been there. But, I mean, I think the story right now, again, is the Zul'jin into a Johanna. Zul'jin just getting his quest done. I believe it was in the last team fight is when he finished that quest off. So getting to those 30 stacks at about 21, 22 minutes. So Johanna did an excellent job keeping that Zul'jin down. Finds the Tassadar there, gets the root. The Unstoppable is popped and the pull as well. Black Hole landing onto 3 members there. Brightwing popping the passive to make sure everybody can keep on pressing the advantage. There is no escape for Tassadar now. Thrall getting caught out. Brightwing coming himself in. Light Bomb popped on the Garrosh, lands onto the backline there. Follow-up root from the Anduin is huge onto the Kael'thas. Kael'thas, oh man, the combustion coming out of the Blaze is absolutely huge in that fight. Johanna trying to peel back to create some sort of play in the backline with the Kira. The Indomitable is popped out. Thrall trying to find any sort of final kill. Kira does land on the Zul'jin. Ooh, look at the damage done onto the Blaze. Thrall is on the hunt to find that kill, but the Kira coming in big in that play. Meanwhile, the minions are sieging here in the mid lane, but that was a pretty big pickup coming out from the Kira, getting that second kill onto the Zul'jin. Again, critical play, putting this Zul'jin under in these team fights, because had Zul'jin survived either one of those last 2 fights, man, that could have been game over. But instead, Kira able to find something, and now Kira and Thrall gonna go for the sneaky play, see if they can find a catch on a Tassadar. Tassadar is not being careful, but Thrall went in. Kira did not. We'll see if the Tassadar is able to get away. Kira's not here. The wall goes down. Anduin pops the pull. Maybe not on the same page in the communication there. Kira was going down to the bot. The ping goes down. I was like, hey, I was setting something up for you. But Yeah, maybe just not quite on the same page there on how they were going to get that play off. They had the Tassadar dead to rights. The Tassadar overextended just a wee bit, but Anduin is able to pull him to safety. They do have a little bit of time to play around that Anduin pull. If they can find this Tassadar again, Thrall is like, hey guys, I got him. Johanna is looking for that potential Blessed Shield to come out, unable to find it, and they go back to sieging out this top lane. Meanwhile, Blaze, he's sneakily getting this last turn in down here. Nobody was paying attention to the Blaze, and he does. He gets the Web Weaver. So Blaze coming in clutch, recognizing the whole 5-man was in the top. Garrosh now coming in. The fight is here, but the Blessed Shield goes down. The Zul'jin followed up with the stun. The Light Bomb actually does not hit on anybody. Unstoppable pop by the Garrosh. Zul'jin trying to put down the damage. Combustion is almost fully channeled there. The Thrall is sitting very low. Brightwing trying to get close enough to heal him, but unable to do so. Meanwhile, Blaze getting low in the backline. Can they find the kill onto the Blaze? Tazdingo was already popped by... No, it wasn't by the Zul'jin. Zul'jin still has it available. Now pops the Tazdingo. Tassadar getting fairly low. Johanna on the hunt. Kael'thas putting down the living bomb spread, able to find 1 kill, able to find 2, 3 kills. No, not able to find the third kill onto the Tassadar, but ooh, Johanna does go down from the Tassadar, so it's a 2-for-2 pickup. That, unfortunately, they were able to get the Zul'jin yet again, so this siege is potential. Ooh, Brightwing, be very careful here. All right, Brightwing doesn't get killed by minions. I thought she was going to die to minions. I was like, oh no, that'd be a horrible way to have this happen. But that is going to be Kira, and the Kira is staying alive and able to put out so much damage here in a lot of these team fights. Look at the damage coming out from the Kira. 89k, but I mean, Tassadar's got a good 120. Oh, Kael'thas, you better be very careful. Has no way to get himself away. Brightwing gonna teleport in. The Phoenix is popped, running right over to the Garrosh, pumps the taunt, has the double throw, has the stun. That is going to be Kael'thas going down. Brightwing able to pop over to the Kira, and Kira is now here just to pick up some gems, but that is 60 seconds of a 5v4 situation once this Blaze and Zul'jin come online. Unfortunately, they do not have gems, but they do have the boss. So we should see the side of Cat Daddies elect to go and set up some sort of boss play in the top lane while the Kael'thas is still responding. Kira looking like she wants to potentially make a play on this Tassadar. Lands a stun, the pull, and the unstoppable pop teleport being used by the Thrall here is able to follow up the kill. The Sundering Blow thrown down, and they do find the Anduin as well. Kira connecting again, a second stun. Blaze coming in with the combustion, able to get it off. That is a return kill onto the Thrall. If they can find Kira, this could be it. Kira putting down as much as she can. Brightwing getting herself away. Johanna here just to create some safety, but the Zul'jin is alive this time, and that is the most important part. The Zul'jin staying alive is going to create that pressure to end the game. Kael'thas will be alive in 7 seconds, but Zul'jin has the Tazdingo. They weren't able to get the Zul'jin this time, and this could be devastating for the side of Resurgence, electing not to go end. The Kael'thas is alive. They didn't think they could end it with the Kael'thas, and so they're going to go pick up a free boss. They got the keep. The boss will potentially put pressure for a game, depending on how fast they can pick it up here. If they can get it with about 10-15 seconds of death timers, everybody will be up. And it looks like that's what's going to happen. They're just not able to burn it fast enough. Kael'thas realistically isn't going to be able to do anything here. Just needs to go push out these waves so that they can have adequate time to clear out the boss. Kael'thas getting the retreat rings. Brightwing coming in to teleport in, but the boss has already been picked up. And Kael'thas, you got to get yourself out of there, man. These minions need to be cleared. So the minions aren't being necessarily addressed. All 3 keeps are down. We're going to have pressure in all 3 lanes with a very late boss. A 30-minute boss here by the side of Cat Daddies. The boss is starting to be bled down. Will it be able to be burned by the side of Resurgence? Kira has to be very careful not to get walled off here. Gets herself to safety. Meanwhile, we've got siege minions starting. The boss only down about a quarter health so far and starting to take out the shield. The Blessed Shield does go out. She's looking for the Tassadar in the backline. Unstoppable is pop. Combustion going down by the Blaze onto the 3-man. Gets on for the life on pop, but able to get knocked away by the Sundering Blow there. The boss still at half health. This core is absolutely melting, and this will be GG's game 2 going over to Cat Daddies. What a comeback. Holy cow. Just when you thought we were going to a game 3 and all looked like it was going in favor of Resurgence of the Storm, Cat Daddies find a way to get themselves back into this game. Look at the damage that the Tassadar put out there. I mean, look at the stats. Tassadar led in all 3 categories heavily. Holy cow, Shoe Puff put his carry pants on that game and was like, guys, I've got this. Let's keep playing. We can do this. And ended up getting the team all the way from a pretty much dire situation, 2 keeps down to, I don't even think they had, I think they had 1 fort. So they had 1 fort. They were missing 2 keeps. And they ended up finding a way. Blaze getting that sneaky turn in to get that next Webweaver phase. And the game ending up swinging back in favor of Cat Daddies. What a game. 30-plus minute Towers of Doom map. Holy cow. Let me message Supuff and see if we got to get an interview with that. Let me get a message over to Shoepuff real quick. I sent my messages backwards. I was supposed to say GG's and then possible interview, and it went to possible interview and then GG's. We'll see if I can get an interview here. I'll give him a couple minutes. It looks like they will be sending somebody over. Don't know who that somebody is quite yet. But how about that game? Tell you what, that rating party that came in, you guys were the game changer for Cat Daddies there. You guys should be proud. Cat Daddies was looking like they're up against the wall. Then Dax comes in with a raid party, and all of a sudden Cat Daddies, oh, hey, here we go. Magnetic, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, Ice?
Good. How you doing? Congratulations on your 2-0 domination victory and the comeback in that second game. How is everybody feeling right now?
And that game was pretty nuts. Like we were kind of on the back foot most of the time, and then we weren't really sure if we are going to be able to pull out the win. So we're pretty happy we were able to finish it off in the end.
Yeah, and congratulations as well as solidifying yourselves as the only undefeated team left in Division B. This was the battle of the undefeateds. You guys were able to come away with the 2-0 here, but tell me, I mean, you obviously knew you were going up against a tough matchup tonight. What was your guys' thought process? How were you guys approaching a night like tonight when you knew that it was going to be a pretty good brawl back and forth between these two teams?
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely shout out to Resurgence of the Storm because they're definitely the best opponents we've played this season. And those were kind of the craziest games we've played all season. But yeah, kind of going into it, we did a little bit of research on kind of just what they've been playing. They played last night as well. And just kind of our approach was just trying to, I guess, more so in the first game was kind of choke out like their kind of most played heroes. I think that's kind of just been somewhat of our strategy in our drafts to date. But yeah, and then in terms of gameplay, like they definitely kind of showed, I think, a little bit better macro game than us in both maps. And so it was kind of, I guess, it's just kind of a good to go against another team that hasn't been beaten yet. But we have dropped a game. We haven't dropped a series yet, but we've dropped it earlier in this.
Yeah, going to that game one, you're mentioning the draft strategies coming out. Were you guys expecting this Lieutenant Morales, Uther, Asmodan, Zul'jin bot lane when you knew you're going to Braxis holdout?
No, it was a good draft, honestly. At first we didn't think it was that strong, but then we knew that they kind of scaled the late game, so we needed to win probably right when we won, but like probably before 18 minutes.
Right.
But in the four-man, yeah, we weren't expecting. We thought the Asmodan was going to be solo, so when they drafted the Malthael, we were pretty surprised. But yeah, the Morales and Uther, yeah, that four-man was pretty hard to kill. I think what happened is we were somewhat losing that bot lane, but then after the first objective, I think they overextended a couple of times, and that's when we were able to kind of take advantage, get the lead.
Yeah, I think you guys ended up technically winning the first objective, but it was like 100-98. So it really felt like neither team really won because they were up like 98-0, I believe. And then somebody stopped it. I don't remember if it was Sonya in the top lane or you guys in the bot lane stopped it. And then Sonya just got on point with Malthael and did a dance, and your 4-man in the bot lane just somehow held off long enough that you guys got it up to 100. And I was like, wow. But then, I kind of was like thinking the same story you were. Like, you guys were going to have the clear early and mid game advantage. And then if it got late enough, Asmodan would start clicking, the Uther would start becoming a problem, and the Zul'jin would get stacked up. You had the Johanna to delay the Zul'jin as much as you could. But it seemed around that level 10, you got, or after that first objective, you guys realized that you had the experience lead, and then you made a call to, instead of, you kind of backed off for a second to go for camps, and then turned around and made a siege with your 10s on 9. Take us through that call real quick, in the bot lane, and how you turned it into like basically a 3-0 kill and then painted the whole map red.
Yeah, so since they kind of had like the Uther Morales, just in general, it was just hard to deal with their sustain heals. So we were basically just waiting for an opportunity for Shootpuff to get a nice wall on them, and then where I can just walk in with Johanna and just engage, and then we followed up and got a couple kills. So we were just like looking for a pick, whether it was the Zul'jin or the Morales. We were trying to ignore the Uther as much as possible when we could. And then once we did that, we just wanted to kind of, I don't know, play really aggressive and kind of take it to them.
Yeah. And it seemed at that point like that was kind of the switch where you guys were able to start creating a lot of macro pressure. Came away with what I considered a pretty, it was a bloodbath, but it was a pretty dominant. You guys got ahead and kind of never relinquished that lead in that game one. But then game two comes around. They want first pick, so you guys send us to Tomb of the Spider Queen, and then you guys. I mean, I was curious. One, did you expect the Kira last pick coming in? Or I guess it wasn't the last pick, it was second to last pick. When they were already showing Thrall as a potential offlaner. And then two, I'm just curious, Zul'jin into Johanna, like, can somebody please explain to me why this is a thing? Because I was like, Johanna's like Zul'jin's strongest counter, and it was picked both times tonight by both teams. Like, Johanna was first picked back and forth, and then both teams are like, we're going Zul'jin into Johanna.
Yeah, so on the first question in the draft, I think that the Kira and Thrall came out fourth and fifth. I could be wrong,
You,
but I
you may
thought
be
they both
right.
came together. Okay. Yeah, and so definitely weren't expecting that, I guess, heavy of a melee comp and with two kind of solo laners, but with running the Thrall and the 4-man. And so that definitely kind of changed our last pick into the Blaze.
Mm-hmm.
But we were having issues just with the Blaze Garrosh into their comp of like getting the initiation we wanted and then following up on it. It was really, really hard. I think you probably saw some like misengages from me or where I was standing kind of too far away from the rest of the team and not calling it. And then with Blaze, it's kind of struggling as well
Mm-hmm.
on some of the engages. But obviously when we got in, it worked. Yeah, later in the game. And then, sorry, I forgot your second question.
Zul'jin into Johanna.
Oh yeah. Um, Yeah, I mean, it's a good point because like the first game when I had Joe, I was literally just blinding Zul'jin every single chance I got, and I think that's what was happening in this game to us as well. But I think it's just kind of a comfort pick on a map where there is generally a lot of fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So the Braxis, it honestly makes more sense than on Spider Queen, but it was just kind of more of a comfort pick for us, I think.
Yeah, I mean, no auto attacker is really good into a Johanna, but then you've got, you can't go double mage. Like, you don't want to go double mage. And so I was like, well, I guess you could pick Zul'jin. Just Zul'jin relies so much on being able to land those auto attacks to get, to the level that everybody wants to get Zul'jin in, where he's like, haha, I just melt you guys left and right. Because I believe like both, like, I don't think the stacks were finished in game one in Braxis. In game two, I think he got it at like 26. That was a long Tomb of the Spider Queen map. It was like a 30-minute Tomb of the Spider Queen map. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
you could
we weren't able to get those stacks for a while just because we were losing fights and we weren't able to kind of take them on our terms, so we weren't able to get them stacked.
right. So you guys were losing a lot of these fights in the early game. Where do you feel was the switch where suddenly you guys were like, wait a minute, we don't need to plan for game three anymore. I think we actually can do this. And then, oh my gosh, we got this.
It was level 20. I think at level 20 we felt confident in winning our fights, playing really aggressive. I mean, they were honestly back and forth. Like once both teams hit 20, we were both trading 2 for 2, 3 for 3. It was kind of crazy, but at level 20, once we kind of had stopped the final kind of turn in from Resurgence Storm, we just thought that we had a chance. Like we knew there was a boss play. We knew that we could win a fight and just have a win condition.
Hmm.
There was a couple times where we were wanting to end the game, but we were just either too low, had no mana, we didn't have, a keep down yet. And
Hmm.
so there was maybe an opportunity to end, but then like because of how the fights were going, like Kael'thas would be up in 10 seconds. We're like, we can't end into a Kael'thas right now. So it was just kind of crazy. But yeah, I think we got that confidence we hit level 20.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely see the momentum slowly starting to shift towards you guys. Blaze got like that one sneaky cheeky turn in the on the bot objective that I was like, oh wow, this might be it, like kind of deal. Um, but I like every fight. It was like, man, I was kept saying, if Zul'jin can survive, they can end. And it seemed like every time, like he was so close to surviving. And there's one fight where I mean, Fence just put on like the most clutch healing performance I think I've seen of an Anduin in a long, long time. Where like he kept everybody alive for so long, and I thought he was gonna pull off like keeping everybody alive in that fight. But unfortunately, Zul'jin was the one person who did die, and so you guys they're like, I don't think we can quite end here. But I mean, if so, that kind of segues in my next question, which if you had to pick, it's got to be tough because there's so many stellar performances coming from your team tonight. But who would you give the nod for the team MVP tonight?
Ooh, team MVP. I think it's going to be a split between Shoe Puff and Fence tonight.
Yeah,
Because I think we had some really good Tassadar play in both games. Obviously, you saw the stats in
yeah,
game two, and but then just being able to set up a lot of those wall kills in game one was huge. And then as well, just like Fence, just keeping us all alive as you said, having some really clutch plays. He had some really good setups in game one with Deckard. So I'd kind of give him both the trophy tonight.
yeah. It was. I mean, it was. I was definitely like on the shoe puff hype train until that one fight where Fence just. I mean, I was blown away by how much healing he put out in one fight to keep everybody alive. It was insane. But so yeah, last thing, I'm gonna kind of open up the floor to you. It was kind of super quiet in chat tonight, which I'm not entirely used to, so it's kind of weird. But floor is yours. Any shout outs you'd like to give? Go ahead at this time.
Yeah, I guess just shout outs to my team for playing a good game. We're kind of figuring it out. I think we're getting better as the season goes. But we've got some stuff to work on still. Shout out to, I guess, ROS here, our opponents. Those are some great games. Those were really fun.
All right, yeah, that was an awesome series. I was so psyched to be able to cast this one. I was expecting a really good show, and it absolutely delivered. So, uh, so thanks again, Magnetic. This was Magnetic, the tank main coming out of the side of Cat Daddies, coming away with the 2-0 victory. Congratulations! Go celebrate with your team and have a fantastic night.
Thanks. Enjoy as well.
All right. And so that was, ladies and gentlemen, that was Cat Daddy's tank player coming in, giving us a nice solid interview, talking about how the team is starting to come into form here in the mid game. And I mean, that was an absolutely fantastic series. Like they definitely put on a show to not only show that, hey, this is how you play a map like Braxis, but don't ever give up on a game. Find a way to make it work. They delayed long enough to get to their level 20s, and then they felt once they hit 20, even though they were really far behind on the map pressure, that they could find a way to get themselves back in, and absolutely delivered a gem of a performance there in that game number 2. So that is it for me tonight. I believe that is it. I'm looking at the lobbies, and there's just a lot of interviews going on. I know there were a couple late games, so I was wondering if we could potentially get over to another stream tonight. But it looks like most of the streams, yeah, almost all the streams are now offline. Everybody's kind of wrapping up their series for the night. So, kind of the downside to being casting all the late games is I really don't get to send people off to raids that often. Sometimes I do, and I like when I get to do that. But thank you again, Dax, and everybody who came in and rated. Definitely appreciate it. Thank you for all the follows tonight too. I definitely appreciate all the follows. And if you want to catch any HOTS casting action, I cast a couple times every week for sure. I usually cast the late games, a lot of the West Coast games. So if you're an East Coaster, sorry, you won't probably see me until playoff time comes around where I'll start casting the playoff games. But if you're on the West Coast and you want to catch some great HOTS action, I'm up and I'm casting pretty much 3 or 4 times a week. My calendar going forward for the rest of the week, I'm actually taking this weekend off. Gonna spend a weekend with the family, so not gonna cast any at all this weekend. And I will probably put out my calendar on Sunday night on my Twitch, so you can see what I have coming up forward for next week. I probably got like 2 or 3 coming out next week. A lot of the games, the late games, have already been picked up for next week. I haven't picked up any yet, so we'll see how that ends up turning out. But as far as for tonight, thank you all so much for coming out. I definitely appreciate it. I will catch you guys sometime next week for some more HOTS action. But that is it. I will probably I may actually end up streaming here later on tonight, just some point of view stuff and play a couple Storm League games. But for casting, that is it. Have a fantastic night, everyone. Go enjoy the Nexus, and hopefully I run into you in a Storm League or an ARAM sometime. Have a good night, all.